John Pollock here with you in New York City, getting set for UFC 205 coming up Saturday night from Madison Square Garden. It's our pleasure to be joined by Jim Miller, who will be returning to action. And Jim, for a card of this historic nature, I think you have to have a Jim Miller on this card, and someone that has competed on so many different levels and massive cards this year alone. Do you feel that specialness of Madison Square Garden, being from nearby New Jersey? I mean, has Madison Square Garden always been one of those venues that maybe you thought I'd never get to fight in?
I wasn't sure, I just knew that if the UFC got to New York, obviously the first card was going to be at MSG, and I got the opportunity to be on this one. So I'm gonna try to make the most of it, and yeah, it's been, I've fought on quite a few very big cards with a lot of buzz, and that were historic and the biggest thing at that time. So the extra buzz is kind of, it's just same old, So I'm gonna have some fun Saturday.
Is that something you take in during fight week, or is it tunnel vision on the opponent and it's only in the aftermath that you look back at, wow, this was a really big card? Because you're focused on your fight, and sometimes all of this, it's more our side of the camera that's focusing on this, and you guys have a fight on Saturday.
Yeah, for me, it's just I go through the motions. I'm here. I'm doing what I've done 24 times before. So none of the extra media attention or our hype leading up to the fight really has any effect on me. Like I said, I'm focused on what I have to do Saturday night, and I have to make weight first, and then I get to play after that.
Yeah, you've been very open about dealing with Lyme disease. What's the latest update on that? I mean, it's something that sounds like it's going to continue to be a struggle, but is it manageable now? I mean, this is your fourth fight this year, and I mean, it would be a shock to some, I think, knowing that you've been dealing with this throughout.
Yeah, it's manageable, and that's the biggest thing is, I was diagnosed with it in March, so it hasn't been that long. For some people, they take some medication, they kick its butt, and it never comes back. Other people, it's a very nagging type thing, and it's difficult to get rid of. It seems like I'm in a little bit in between right now. I feel great, but I'm not totally kicked of it right now. So the best part about it for me is I know what it feels like now. I know why. Oh, well, my joints hurt. I can't move. I'm feeling like garbage. I know why that is. So it's like, it's easy enough to now then go to my doctor and be like, listen, what we're doing is not working. So kind of having that knowledge now of what it feels like when the Lyme is kicking my butt, there's a peace of mind there now, as opposed to not knowing what it was.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. And obviously, that's never news you look forward to, but at least you didn't have these questions of what is causing this. You can isolate it, and now we can come up with a solution and work around it. I imagine that was kind of the conclusion you made, because it had to have been really a mystery for you of why is my body like this?
Yeah, it definitely was. And the worst part is, it's like I thought it was because of this sport. I thought it was because of a decade of training and a lifetime of wrestling and just doing all these things. I thought that it was catching up to me. And 3 days after starting my medication, it was like, holy shit, I feel like a kid again. It was, and the crazy part is like most people, I didn't actually test positive for Lyme disease. I didn't test positive for the bacteria, but we did a trial with the antibiotics, and within a matter of days, it was completely day and night, and pretty much every symptom that I had that I could potentially associate with getting hit in the head a lot, being banged up from whatever, grappling and sparring and stuff like that. It's pretty much goes hand in hand with the symptoms of Lyme. So, I I got a handle on it now. So it's good.
Last question would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Tiago Alves. He's been talking about coming down to lightweight for a long time. When you finally got the call about Alves, I mean, this was someone who struggled at times to get to 170. Was it surprising that he's coming down to 155? And your own assessment of anything he might be giving up coming down to the weight class? Because, I mean, there's no easy cuts in MMA, but this looks like this is quite the daunting task for him.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for him. You know, I don't want him to have a bad cut. I want to face the best Alves that's ever stepped inside the octagon, and beat him. You know, and beat him decisively. But it is part of it, and I actually started taking my weight down about a year and a half ago because I was having trouble, and I had a rough cut last April, and things were still. You know, it might have been the Lyme that was kind of affecting me, but I was having a tough time for a couple of those weight cuts, and even though I was bringing my weight down a little bit at a time, it was still difficult. So I actually came into fight week the lightest I've ever come into a UFC, and I feel great. And you kind of hit those sweet spots. And for me, it feels like it's being this light. I'm gonna feel good and normal. Is the word I like to use, normal on fight day, because for a while I didn't feel normal on fight day. But then there was that point where, like, if I'm over 184, you know, the weight drops a little bit, my hips get a little heavier, and then I can move bigger men around a lot easier. So we'll see how it works out for him if he does sacrifice some of that power coming down, and I plan on fighting him, you know, like the smaller man in there, and pushing the pace and you know, and getting after him.
It's a great fight, and we look forward to it, and I hope that we see a normal Jim Miller on Saturday night. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.